Thanks for tuning into our Stocks to Watch series, your trusted source for investment opportunities. I'm Ashley Berry, and we're really excited to welcome Saf Dhillion, President and Chief Executive Officer of iMetal Resources. The Canadian-based junior exploration company is focused on the exploration of gold and the development of its portfolio of resource properties in Ontario and Quebec. They're trading on the TSXV as IMR, the OTCQB in the US as IMRFF, and the Frankfurt Exchange as A7V. Saf, welcome to Stocks to Watch.
Hi, Ashley. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Always great to talk to you. So Saf, you have several high-profile projects in the Abitibi Greenstone Belts, but maybe before discussing those projects, perhaps you can shed some light on this prolific area and the current exploration and mining operations there.
Yeah, okay. Actually, you're actually right. The region that we happen to be in is actually probably one of the most prolific regions actually anywhere in the world. People always think of, big production or big resource numbers coming only from countries either in Africa or in African countries or South American countries. But actually Canada and the Abitibi specifically has some of the most prolific production anywhere in the world. Ontario and Quebec are always considered a number 2 and number 3, or always in the top 3 for the safest jurisdictions, as well as being the most mining friendly. And actually, since gold was first discovered in the Abitibi, this region has produced well over 200 million ounces of gold, over 400 million ounces of silver, 15 tons of copper, and roughly 35 billion tons of zinc. And there's been well over at least 21 mines that have had 3 million plus or greater than 3 million ounces of gold. So you could say that's pretty prolific.
Yeah, would you classify it as sort of like a hidden gem of an area that people don't really realize, that right there in Canada, that all of that is at your fingertips?
Yeah, I think part of it is, I think how I've already mentioned, I think some of these other locations are really exotic, and they, tend to have, they tend to have a lot of the press, I guess, because, again, that's where a lot of the bigger names basically have been elephant hunting and, cheaper labor in that. But this region, Ontario and Quebec, it is, like I said, one of the best places to work. We've got all the relationships with the Indigenous groups, the First Nations. It's easy to get permitted. The mining infrastructure, everything's in place. And it's, like I said, it's probably one of the best and safest places to work.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like a win-win for you. And you are currently managing several projects in that area, including the flagship Gowganda West Project. Can you tell us about that project and your most recent findings in the exploration programs there?
Yeah, actually, sure. Actually, we actually have 3 gold-focused projects that are all actually in Ontario. And the one project that we have that's in Quebec, that's actually graphite-focused. But all of these fall within the Abitibi. All of our projects are at various stages. The 3 gold projects, of the 3 gold projects, I would say the Ghost Mountain is actually the least developed. And then we have the Kerrs gold deposit. That was the acquisition that we made of roughly 400,000 ounces of gold in the ground. That acquisition was a transaction was completed first quarter of 2022. And then, of course, our flagship is the Gowganda West Project. It's roughly 150 square kilometers, and it's really kind of in the heart of what's called the Shining Tree Camp. This camp is the least developed of all of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. And we're really excited because, we're sitting with a less than $5 million Canadian market cap. We're surrounded by much, much larger companies. Our immediate neighbors have roughly, maybe a $500 million market cap, but they also host what is known as the Juby deposit, which is roughly about 2.5 million ounces of gold. That deposit sits less than 300 meters from our border. And then a little further up, still connected to our property, We also have another junior that has been able to secure a JV partnership with one of the largest gold producing companies in the world. Of course, that being Agnico Eagle. They have, I think, probably $38 billion market cap. So I think you can see, even if you go to our PowerPoint, if you go to that one page, I think if there's one page somebody should look at, it's page 6, and we're right smack in the middle of all these other successful companies. And some really big numbers have been drilled by some of our neighbors. And then we also announced this summer, actually June 6th, I think was the exact date, we announced our first major discovery hole. It's roughly 50 meters of a gram in the ground. And why our team is really excited about that. I don't have that technical background. So I was like, tell me, is this good or not? They laughed at me. They said, actually, this is really good because this is 50 meters of a gram, basically sitting less than 1,000 meters from a multi-million ounce deposit. So basically we're onto something here. And as we've always thought that there's a couple of trends, gold trends that continue from our property onto our neighbors. So we're pretty excited now, and we're thinking early next year, we're probably going to be getting ready to do another round of drilling. And my team thinks that, even with 2,000 to 2,500 meters, pretty quickly we could be sitting on 300,000-400,000 ounces of gold here. Again, 300,000-400,000 ounces might not excite everybody, but when you look at it in relation to where this other multi-million ounce deposit is, there's a beautiful correlation that seems to be developing, and we're pretty excited about that.
Absolutely. It certainly sounds like an opportunity for scalability here as well. And the fact that these major successes are just really like a stone's throw from where you are, and then all of your fantastic news about your drilling. So you talked about what it means for your projects to be located in that region. I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about the potential for expansion, and you kind of touched on that, but the mineral resource estimates and the ease of operations and access to logistical features there.
Yeah, actually, just talking about Gowganda West, as I said, that we own about 150 square kilometers. It's a pretty big piece of property. And so this is just a small zone 1, as we're referring it to, that we think that we have the potential anywhere from 400,000. And our team thinks that we potentially could be sitting on up to 1 million ounces in this region. Again, I have to caution investors, this is just a hypothetical, what we've kind of, I guess, extrapolated from this one discovery hole. And if we can continue having these types of grades and those types of width, that's what is potentially possible. That's what we're excited about that. So we think right now, 2 years ago, basically, we had the similar market cap, but we had 0 ounces. We actually closed that, or we actually completed that transaction, the acquisition of the Kerrs Gold deposit. So now we're sitting on 400,000 ounces of gold. That project, we finally have all the data, and the technical team now thinks that we can easily double that resource from 400,000 to potentially 800 and maybe even more. And it looks like we finally got the data digitized, and through their technical analysis, it looks like the resource actually could be coming close to surface. So they're really excited about getting a drill bit there as well. So we potentially could have 800,000 ounces at the Kerrs Gold deposit. We potentially could have 400,000 up to 1 million ounces at the Gowganda West property. And then, of course, expansion. We're always looking at potential M&A activity. And we think that, there are a few opportunities out there where companies, unfortunately, were not able to extract the potential from their projects. And we are looking actively to grow the company 2 ways: by the drill bit and potential acquisitions.
And if you add up those numbers and you think about the price of gold, I would say not too shabby, Saf. Now, what I want to talk about now is, any challenges. You're talking about all these successes, but, are there any challenges that you're faced, and sort of how do you deal with them with your program?
Well, for junior miners, I think the biggest challenge always is financing, and you're basically your currency of a junior market, or sorry, of a junior mining company, is always your share price. Our share price, right now is basically at an all-time low. The markets don't realize the potential that we have here. Like I said, again, I'm going to repeat it, but we've gone from having 0 ounces in the ground to having 400,000 ounces in the ground. The opportunity we have, we can double that. And then we've just announced, like I said, that discovery hole. So we're onto something, and we know that we're extremely undervalued. I think it's only going to be a matter of time until the markets realize that, hey, maybe these guys do have some big potential upside, which I think that's what everybody's always looking for. People are looking for that next, 5, 10 bagger. And I'm hoping that we can fulfill that for a lot of investors.
And talking about, being extremely undervalued, you think about shareholders now getting in early, getting those excited about investing, especially in the gold market. Why is iMetal Resources a stock to watch right now?
Again, undervalued. And great projects. All of our projects, again, are in key locations. I always like to revert back to my marketing 101 in my BCIT or college equivalent days, and marketing 101, location, location, location. And where are all of our projects? They're actually within regions that have produced tremendous amounts of gold. Not just Gowganda West, but all of our projects. If you take a look at them, they all either sit next to or are very close in proximity to either a mine or a known resource in the ground. That's why I think that we are one of the stocks to watch out for. We're only getting started.
Fantastic. I sense some really exciting news on the horizon for you. Saf Dhillion, President and Chief Executive Officer of iMetal Resources. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for sharing these insights, and we look forward to sharing more with our audience. Thanks, Saf.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for having us.